Movies about killer wolves or people that turn into them have been popular for practically forever. But in 1981, we happened to get some really good ones. I've already talked about my personal favorite, The Howling, before in the past. But for today's subject, I wanted to talk about its mega popular sibling. Even if you haven't seen this one yet, you've more than likely heard a ton of people talking about it and saying how great it is. And honestly, they're not wrong at all. This was the movie that made a giant impact in the horror world and brought about a ton of recognition for the filmmakers. It's a movie that's as funny as it is scary, and one that went on to create a giant legacy. An American Werewolf in London is a 1981 horror dark comedy movie directed by John Landis. It stars David Naughton, Griffin Dunne, and Jenny Agutter, and features one of the most simple and straightforward horror stories you can possibly think of. But it also delivers on a lot of really inventive scares and well-timed jokes that I think make it stand out from nearly everything that has come out since. This is one of the most popular horror movies from the 80s, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that they don't like it. And that's probably because it has some of the most relatable characters and situations that I think I've ever seen in one of these films to go along with its really funny and entertaining story that's full of scares, great special effects, and well-timed humor.
You think she'll meet me in Rome? I think Debbie Klein's a mediocre person with a good body. There's nothing mediocre about Debbie Klein's body.
Now, you more than likely will have heard of this movie before, but not all of you will have likely seen it if, you only watch new stuff. So let me go ahead and tell you what to expect if you're going into the film blind. An American Werewolf in London is one hell of a fun movie, and it deserves its legendary status 100%. It's been hyped up as this big, entertaining experience by loads of celebrities, the fan base surrounding 1980s cult classics won't shut the hell up about it, and everyone seems to think it's all around great. But the main reason for all of that is honestly because, like I said, it's just how relatable this movie is. And I mean full stop. This movie will make you put yourself and your friends in these characters' situations, running scared, freaking out, and even laughing at some of the awesome humor.
It's a 5-pointed star.
Well, maybe the owners are from Texas.
It starts off with two of the most relatable guys you could think of just hanging out, hiking through England. They came from America to have fun together in Europe, but after they visit one hell of a sketchy bar, the two of them are attacked by a werewolf at night. What results is one of them getting killed, the other one getting bitten, and a trip to the hospital filled with surreal nightmares and a sweet love story that features a nice nurse. Watching this movie, you realize just how much more likable these people happen to be in relation to modern stories that we get right now, but it's also this movie's just plain old fun, man, especially in relation to its special effects, which are well known to have been groundbreaking and iconic for the time. You see, John Landis, the director, actually had this story in mind for years and even met up with Rick Baker when they were young with this great idea to do a werewolf story with a detailed transformation scene that would be totally different from what anyone had ever seen before. At the time, what everyone had kind of become accustomed to was the mainstream Lon Chaney Jr. style of slowly transforming into a werewolf, which involved a lot of dissolves and fading into the makeup effects that they'd apply over time for the shoot. John Landis had this elaborate idea to actually show the man becoming the monster in a very elaborate and painful way that involved bones snapping, skulls morphing, and hair growing in real time. Unfortunately for him, this movie would take a very long time to get off the ground, and just when John got around to calling Rick that he was finally able to go forward with the project, Baker had already begun work on that little movie called The Howling instead. Again, a major league favorite of mine, and one that I think deserves a lot of praise. Watch the video on it, but Landis was pretty pissed off and started cussing out Baker because he kind of thought that movie was stealing his thunder, which the two wound up resolving by Rick Baker working on An American Werewolf in London after all that was said and done, and both movies coming out the exact same year, giving us not one but two of the most legendary films about lichens ever made. But what makes An American Werewolf in London so good and different, in my personal opinion, it's the likability and relatableness to its characters, and even though it's just adapting a very straightforward Wolfman story, the way the movie tells it is seriously entertaining, and honestly, it's really funny at the same time.
A naked American man stole my balloons.
What?
Towards the beginning of the film, Jack, one of the boys, gets killed. The werewolf is defeated, and David, the other boy, wakes up alone, having survived the encounter. But he's having some seriously crazy dreams about running wild in the woods at night, going through some kind of evil metamorphosis, and even watching some mutant Gestapo wolves terrorize his family back home. The kind nurse tending to David takes a liking to him, and their relationship begins to grow pretty realistically while all of this is taking place. And that's when someone unexpected shows back up in the story.
Can I have a piece of toast?
You see, Jack is not exactly dead. He is among the undead, cursed to walk the earth and haunt David until the line of werewolves is forever broken. And that line has to end with David because he's been bitten. In other words, he's got to end it himself.
A gun! I know where you can get a gun.
Don't I need a silver bullet or something?
Oh, be serious, would you?
The movie goes on a great ride of humor, suspense, and great special effects work while you slowly watch all of what you kind of expect to happen play out in a short amount of time. And I couldn't recommend it highly enough. The film has gone on to be regarded as one of the most memorable Wolfman movies ever made, and the combination of comedy, horror, all that stuff, it's always made people smile. People love this movie. Everyone loves An American Werewolf in London. The special effects for the creature were so good that Michael Jackson happened to get John Landis and Rick Baker to work on a little music video of his that you may have heard of called Thriller a couple of years later. So this movie's kind of a big deal. It's for all of these reasons combined why people love An American Werewolf in London and why the movie is well recognized as one of the greatest wolf transformation films ever made. But hey, I've done enough talking about it. If you haven't seen it before, do yourself a favor and check it out immediately. As for everyone else, what do you think of this movie? What's your favorite scene in the film? And how do you think it ranks among every other werewolf movie out there? Again, personally, I think The Howling is the best, but let me tell you, man, American Werewolf in London is a certified classic in my book, 100% as well. But whatever your own thoughts and opinions on the film happen to be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below.